It's true. I have to, but I can't even just say it. I have to legitimately love my body. And I have to legitimately love my body when I'm out of shape.
You're listening to Out of Line with Caroline Lee, exploring offline realities with online personalities. Michael Gungor is a singer, songwriter, composer, author, and podcaster. Growing up in Wisconsin, Michael began his musical adventure as a Christian worship leader. His Michael Gungor Band days evolved into the band Gungor, which still exists as Michael and his wife Lisa. In 2014, Michael launched a podcast called The Liturgists, which he co-hosts with Science Mike. Together, they deconstruct all elements of life through the lenses of faith, art, and science. Michael and his wife Lisa live in LA with their daughters Amelie and Lucie. Michael studied with Ram Dass earlier this year and took on the name Vishnu Das. So in this episode, I may or may not refer to him as Vish, which is what we call him in our circle of friends. Vish is a dear friend and came over to my house to record this chat. When you said we had a very LA moment last night, I thought you were going to say, you know, we turned around and like Renee Zellweger was standing right there or something random like that. But
that is more of a typical LA moment.
No, but seeing someone put their penis through a gate, that's also a very LA moment.
Very downtown LA moment.
Very downtown, yeah. Certain hours of the day it does have that waft. Oh, man. Hey, it's gritty. I like it. I fit in here.
Yeah, I can't say I've never stuck my penis through a gate. I'm comfortable with that.
You can't say that you haven't.
I can't say that I haven't. Let me think if I have. I can't say that I have either, but I would not be surprised to find out. You know, it's if you're gonna pee outside and there's like, oh, this will hide my dick.
Is it like a guy thing to want to
pee outside?
Well, and just to do things with your penis when you're peeing?
I mean, I don't think it's a girl thing.
Well, I can tell you it's not. It's definitely not. I mean, it took me like 3 trips to India just to get it down, like to pee without having it become a disaster. So, yeah, no, it's not. But
I mean, my weirdest one I'd say is probably on a ski mountain that I was going to pee my pants, and I just like I'm either gonna pee my pants or I'm gonna lay down and pee in the snow, or I'm gonna stand up. I'm not gonna stand up. There's other skiers, so I lay down and just penis out of the snow pants into the snow, cold. But that was my best option that I could think of. Skiers skiing by me and I'm just laying face down in the snow. And then get up and like just yellow.
That is the best mental picture I've ever had.
Why is that guy in his belly?
And then you stand up and there's yellow with a hole in the middle of it.
And I'm just going, I'm sorry.
Oh, man. Was that in Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's good. That's good. I wonder what normal... I've never been downhill skiing, so I wonder if that's like normal, if other people have done that.
I've never seen it or heard of it.
Yeah, but...
I felt like a pioneer.
Sounds like you were. Yeah, skiing for me was kind of like growing up, because we both spent a lot of years growing up in Wisconsin. And for me, that was one of those things that I wanted to avoid because it was like too expected, you know?
To go skiing?
Yeah. You know, I'm an 8. Like I wanted to be original and push back. And so it was like, everybody's going to the Dells. Everybody's going to Noah's Ark. Never been to either one. Never been skiing. I was just like, what can I avoid that's like super Wisconsin?
Yeah. And we both, I think I had an anti-Wisconsin streak in me as well. And we both ended up in Los Angeles. I think that's probably something to do with it.
There's probably something we have in common. Also, we both got married when we were 19. So
yeah.
That's also weird.
It is really weird. and we're still married to the same people,
which is weirder.
Which is even weirder. Like
super weirder. Yeah. Sometimes they say out loud, I think I'm the only person I know that had sex with the same person all through my 20s.
Yeah. I did as well.
It's crazy. Like, I don't know anyone who got all the way through their 20s and was like, same partner. Because even if they are with the same person, they met them when they were like 24 or something like that. And they're like, oh, we've been together, which is still a long time. 19. Who gets married at 19? What were you thinking? What was I thinking?
I mean, I was thinking I want to have sex. And I don't want the Lord to be mad at me for having sex. And I love this girl. And
right.
And I want to spend my life with her, of course.
Of course, yeah.
But I think had I been able to have sex with this girl who I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, maybe it would have been like, I mean, what's the rush?
Right.
But there was a rush.
There were a few rushes. Oh my gosh. I love it. That's really good. So what are some other things about living in Wisconsin? Because now when I go back, I like it. I love it. It's great. And I feel like people out here in LA, at least, when I say I spent a lot of my life growing up in Wisconsin, there's kind of this like, oh, what's that like? And there's not necessarily a clear, it's not like, I think Iowa, you get cornfields. That's what everyone says. And then, there are different kind of mental pictures that come to mind. But with Wisconsin, it's very dairy, lots of cheese. People always ask about cheese, cows. That's about it. Right?
How hard did you work on saying Wisconsin like you say it?
How do I say it?
You haven't ever put conscious effort into how you say Wisconsin?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I just say it. But I've also like my parents weren't from Wisconsin. So I was not around super, super strong Wisconsin accents.
Okay.
I also married a foreigner and lived outside of the country for like almost 3 years.
Because you don't say Wisconsin like somebody from Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Yeah. Wisconsin. Even if they don't have like a Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It's still the syllable, the Wisconsin.
Right.
I'm from Wisconsin versus I'm from Wisconsin.
Right. But I was also
you say
born
Wisconsin.
Wow.
You were born in Indiana?
I was born in D.C.
D.C.
Yeah, which I hate. D.C. is horrible.
When did you move to Wisconsin?
I was like 2. Wisconsin. Burb. Hey, Burb. How's it going, Burb?
You are a unicorn.
I don't know if it's a good unicorn or just a weird one, but
it's a good unicorn.
Thanks. Well, it's I like going back though. I don't mind it at all. I think it's like there's such a beautiful down to earthness about it. There's such a family values that sometimes drive me crazy. How often do you go back?
Once every 4 years, 5 years.
Okay.
Probably.
Do you still have family there?
I have uncles and aunts there.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't go back much. We went once a few years ago I have a daughter named Amelie, and Lucie. Lucie wasn't born yet, and it was fun to show Amelie like my hometown. And it was just such a different world to her. We live in LA. So going to a place, I remember growing up and being like, thinking about kids specifically in LA that never see cows or anything. I was like, that's so funny that they like think this is, because I heard about some kid from California that came to Wisconsin, was like, look at all the cows. And then Amelie was like, cows. There's no cows in LA.
No, there really aren't. Well, not anywhere near LA at all. I don't think I've ever seen cows in California. I'm sure they're here.
I'm sure they're here.
They're probably,
but you don't just run the
Bakersfield? I don't know.
Yeah, probably on the way to Bakersfield. I bet you'll see a few cows here and there.
But it's probably too hot for them out there.
Certainly not like Wisconsin,
no,
where you'll find cows
everywhere. So what's baggage? What's some baggage you have from days in Wisconsin? Because I know I got some.
Yeah. Obesity.
Wow. Okay, let's unpack that baggage. What do you mean? You mean you you have obesity
So
because of living
I
there?
will say this. Well, my family is a fairly obese family.
Okay.
I don't, on the chart at my gym, I have recently moved from poor on the body fat index to fair.
Nice.
So I won't call myself obese.
I would never call you obese.
I'm fair.
You're fair. I would call you fair to good. I would say good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You've warmed the cockles of my heart. But the fact that warms the cockles of my heart is part of the issue that I'm talking about. Because I did, there's this, I think it's Harvard. Harvard has these online tests where you can like test your bias. And you can do it for different races or gender or whatever. And so I did one for like women and past, meaning I didn't have a bias of women in the workplace or whatever. You know, I passed the sexist test. I did one for black people. I didn't. Again, it's not a pass or fail. It's not even saying that you're a racist. Just shows like your inherent bias. And I didn't have a bias for that. I didn't have a bias for but the thing, I did a test with obese people. Very definite bias. And I was like, all right, I can see that. I could feel it while I was doing the test. Because the way it tests you is like, it'll put good words on one side of the screen and bad words on the other side of the screen. And you tap each screen quickly. Like if it puts up a good word, you tap a good. And then it'll also show like pictures of fat people or skinny people. And it'll switch it up, like also put good words on the right-hand side of the screen and skinny people on the right-hand side of the screen. And when I did that, it was fast and easy. And then I was like, when you put and then it's it switched up good words on the right-hand side of the screen, and obese people on the right-hand of the screen. And so obese people, I just kept getting it wrong. Like, no, that goes on the wrong side of the screen.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough. And I've done a lot. I've been reflecting on it a bit because I don't want to be a person that is judgmental and body shame and I hate body shame. What a horrible part of our culture that people feel less than because of how their body is. And I have a daughter with special needs, and since having her, she's 3 now, all of that has intensified greatly for me. Like, people are born with the bodies they have, and you can't like thinking more or less based on their physicality it's destructive. But then I think there's also the strange thing with obesity where we have this idea that there's also your choice in the matter, which we can get more into if you'd like to, but because you have to get into like what is choice and what is free will, how free is our will. But the things related to, as I think there's been a part of me that, because my family is mostly overweight, for me not to be overweight, I think there's part of like a defense mechanism for me not to become morbidly obese myself. I feel like I've had to fight it so hard. And part of how I've fought it is by hating it. But I don't hate fat people. Like, my family's fat. I have a lot of my best friends are fat, and I think I'm a total fat kid at heart. Like I totally am. My idea of a party is like, let's go get some froyo and put on some fat pants and lounge around.
Yep. We've done that a few times.
We have.
So there's a lot there, and I definitely want to hear all about choice. Yeah. Dive in. I want to hear it. Do you, when you say your family's fat, do you guys talk about that? Like, are you like, oh, we're a fat family? And like, or would they, if they heard that, would they be like, oh, he said we're fat?
That's interesting. We make fun of my dad is finally getting more in shape the last couple of years. He used to be one of the bigger ones of the family, and now he's one of the most fit. And he always would make fun of himself.
Not fair. Good.
I don't know. This is, by the way, the fair scale. That's LA.
Oh.
I actually looked up a chart online and I was like, I'm better than I thought I was.
This is LA.
This is LA. Yeah, like
Not
GM
fair.
were like, you have more than 5% body fat, you're obese.
Oh my gosh. The other day I found out, because we have a Fitbit scale and it tells me that I'm 34% body fat. And I've just been like believing that for years. And I finally said to Jaden, why does my body fat percentage never go down? I've been working out for a freaking year and it never goes down. And I'm 34%. And he's like, babe, you are not 34%
No, you're not
body fat.
34%.
And I was like, the scale says I am. And then he was like, Google 34% body fat photo. And I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm not. I was like, oh yeah, never mind. Nope. I'm not. So,
But Wisconsin people are big.
They are.
Most people are very big. I mean, most Americans.
That's true.
Like, you travel a lot. You're one of the few people I know that travels more than me. But you go to other countries and you're like, how come everybody's not fat?
Mm-hmm. Well, and you go to LAX and, we'll be in the city for like a couple of weeks. And then I go to LAX and all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, I forgot. Look at the different body shapes. Because LA is so
LA's,
boxy, bubbly. It's a bubble world. And so then to go to LAX and see all the different gates and all the different people heading to their cities and be like, oh, wow, I forgot. Different bodies.
Yeah.
And I definitely relate. I've actually worked with my therapist on fat prejudice. And
really?
She had me read a book by Lindy West. Do you know who Lindy West is?
No.
She's like a journalist. She has a book called Shrill. And Lindy is someone that is fat. And before I read the book, I was always like, I don't want to say the word fat. I don't want to label people. I don't want like, we have to avoid that word. What do we say? I know I feel something when I'm dealing with that and even my own body image. But then reading the book, like she just fully calls herself fat. And she's just like, it is a thing. It's a thing that I struggle with. We struggle with as, fat people. But it was a great book to read. I learned a lot. Just someone being so honest about being fat and what it's like to be fat in this world.
So what'd you learn?
Oh man. Well, first of all, I think I learned the importance of just saying it like it is and not having it be something that's so taboo. Cause I think when I avoid the word fat and try to say, oh, they're struggling with their
boned.
weight. Yeah, big, whatever it is. It kind of takes away from, like you said, being born with your body and loving it the way that it is and just being like, this is my body. And
I have a lot of fat on it.
I have a lot of fat on it. And whether or not you diet and go to the gym all the time and starve yourself, sometimes people's body stays the way that it is. It's not.
I know.
Sometimes, but there is so much judgment, I think, that the cultural, especially America, but I think a lot of the West, at least, kind of looks at people and says, oh, they probably eat too much, or oh, they could probably miss a few meals. Those sorts of things get said so often, and there isn't any like, oh, maybe, or sometimes it's like, oh, I'm worried about their health. I'm worried for your health, and it's like, really? Because maybe the country should handle universal health care, and then you can judge me for like my body shape. There's so many things wrapped up in the judgments that we put on other people. So that was one of them. And then the other one was just like not making it such the main thing about someone, like rather than being like, oh yeah, my gay friend, or oh, my fat friend. It's like, what? Wait, why would we do that? I literally had a friend that when she talked about one of her friends, she would say, oh yeah, my fat friend. And I was just like, I was always so offended and like a little bit appalled when she would say that. Cause I was just like, first of all, you should have more than one friend that isn't your body shape. And second of all, is that the only thing about her that you see when you look at her? Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
It's appalling. So anyway, I want to hear about your family and And the whole thing you were saying about choice, because there's definitely a lot there, and it's very interesting to me.
So my family, I don't think we say like we're a fat family, but we're about to be together. It'll be interesting. It's just going to be the adults. We're going to Paris together next week. And so I'm sure there's going to be years worth. When you have kids all around all the time, it's just a madhouse. And this was like my parents are paying for the trip for the adults to go and kind of hang out. So
that's so fun.
And some of the siblings are in worse shape than they've been before, and it's an interesting thing. Yeah, I guess we don't talk about that. We'd laugh about it. My dad is he's worse than me with fat people.
Oh, like prejudice?
He's prejudiced, and he was fat. And he was very prejudiced against fat people. And we've talked about it, and I mean, like, did you give me that? I think some of it came from my grandma, who, like, she was horrible with fat people. Like, and she wasn't very fat. I would say she's skinny, but like, she'd make beep beep sounds. You know, like if a fat person was backing up, she'd be like, beep beep. Like, God, grandma.
Oh my gosh, that is horrifying. It's horrifying.
So I think she passed some of that on to my dad, and then some of it on to me somehow. I don't know. So, but as far as the choice, because you'd think like the traits that are stereotypically associated with fat people, like sloth, gluttony, apathy, those are negative traits that you don't want, you know, that harm your life and other people's lives. So, and the health issue, like, you don't care about your health. What's wrong with you? And that's, you know, assuming that we're all playing on an equal playing field, there's some validity to that. Like, come on, get your life together. But we're obviously not all playing on an equal playing field. And when I think even my own, whether it's weight loss or playing guitar or learning a foreign language. I'm trying to learn Spanish right now, but I could be better at my discipline with it. You know, like all those things that we do and try to better ourselves or whatever, progress ourselves. How can I divvy up what I'm responsible for as far as my conscious will saying, yep, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make it happen. Even that decision, that will, where does that come from? So like, that's assuming me being able to focus some time on Spanish means that I have enough time in my life that I'm assuming that I've eaten, my family has eaten, that I feel physically safe, that I have enough resources to be able to purchase something like a Spanish course without that putting anybody in my life in peril. There's a lot of privilege that goes into me, like, there's some extra time. Like, what could I spend it on? Learning Spanish. And then that thing that pops up in my head, like, work on Spanish. I should work on Spanish. Where does that come from? Who gets to take credit for that? And who gets to take credit for how much willpower I have to put towards that? What if I'm just feeling depressed? And if I'm feeling depressed, I don't have the willpower to do it. Something, you know, I remember when we went through a really hard time in 2014. I had a lot of depression in that year. And I didn't have the ability to do things that I normally would do. I didn't have, and things like taking care of my physical body just falls as far as not trying to be fit and trying to go exercise. Like, it falls in the hierarchy of needs below, like, try to get out of bed this morning and bring your kid to school. Like, that's a higher need. And I'm barely able to do that. You know what I mean? Like, so circumstances and yet alone chemistry. I've seen my brother who's fat go through thing after thing after, like, he's read way more about it than I have. He's gone to workshops. He's gone to counseling. He's been part of, like, he's gone on severe diets, and he swings down for a minute and then it swings right back up and gets bigger than he was last time. And, like, can I say that I just apply more willpower to it? Is that all that it is? And no, of course it's not. There's other stuff. There's other factors that make both him and I not totally free in our will.
Yeah.
When it comes to losing weight. And my wife has a old friend that got her stomach stapled a year or two ago, and she lost all this weight. I mean, she like could not. In order to staple her stomach, she had to demonstrate that she could lose a significant amount of weight for the insurance to pay for it or whatever. And so she lost this weight. They stapled her stomach. She kept losing all this weight. It was going amazing. She was changing. Her life was changing. We just found out yesterday she's gained it all back.
No. In a year?
It's maybe a couple years, but it's like dangerous.
That's hard on your body.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But how can you say, like, she didn't have enough willpower and she's to blame for that? And then let alone chemistry. Some people they eat certain things and they keep shedding. It seems like some people can just eat whatever they want and have all the energy and willpower to go on a run every morning. Whatever. I mean, I guess I don't see willpower as cleanly as I used to. I don't think free will really is a thing. I think it's an illusion that we experience subjectively. So in that case, like, how can you judge? The hard thing about that stance is then how could you judge anything? How could you judge apathy or laziness or murder or Donald Trump or whatever? Because you're like, they've experienced in their environment, their upbringing, their chemistry has created this scene. It's not their fault. Who's the they that you're like, what's the thing that has a fault? They're just this, they're a product
of their circumstances.
Circumstances.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. There's a lot there. So one of the questions that comes to mind while you're saying that is there such a thing? And maybe this is coming from, since both of us are sufferers of fat prejudice. Maybe this is really sad and shallow of me to say, but is there such a thing as not having fat prejudice? Like, do you know anyone that doesn't have it? Because I'm even thinking of some of my friends who are overweight and they want to date really fit people.
Yeah.
Like, they are themselves what the world would call fat. And again, I'm going off of what Lindy says in her book. She says fat people. So if that's offensive to anyone, I don't mean it to be offensive. I'm trying to adopt what I've learned from Lindy. So if a fat person wants to date a thin person, do fat people have fat prejudice too? Is there such a thing as not having fat prejudice? Or is that something that our society gives all of us?
Oh, I know there's a lot of dudes that do not mind some, have you ever heard of a BBW conference?
Okay. All right.
Big, beautiful women.
Yep.
And
Okay,
I know I have friends that they want those curves, as big as those curves will come.
That's true.
I mean, maybe not as big as they'll come.
But I hear what you're saying.
I mean, we had a bus driver, we were talking about this, and we're like, he's like, I don't mind fat girls. I want a fat girl. We're like how fat though? Like 400 pounds? He's like, maybe that's a little much, but about 300 duns. I'll do 300 duns.
Okay. All right. So there's the answer. I mean, there's our answer. It's just good because I think in my head, I'm like, oh, maybe everyone thinks this way. But I think that's part of what prejudice is that I start to believe that everyone's like me because I'm right. And like, obviously I'm going to collect evidence that makes me right. I don't want to make myself wrong. So if I'm like, oh, everyone feels this way, then it's easier to think I'm right.
No,
but
I don't think so.
But I think prejudice isn't like the definition of prejudice that it isn't based on fact. It's like, it's almost like perceived or believed truth rather than, oh, here are your actual stats and facts to back it up.
I think that's implied in the word prejudice, that you have an unwarranted bias against a certain kind of person or whatever your prejudice is against, I suppose. I mean, because you wouldn't, in the way that we use the word prejudice, you wouldn't say like, I'm prejudiced against murder.
Right.
You know, like that doesn't make much sense to say. You're prejudiced against. And so even saying like you're prejudiced against sloth, apathy, and gluttony that to me doesn't seem like a prejudice. That's a healthy stance towards destructive
that's almost
mindsets.
like that means you have character versus.
But to assume that a person that is obese in some way is wallowing in gluttony and apathy and slothfulness is probably the prejudice, that assuming something about that person when you don't know anything about their thyroid condition or their whatever. That
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's just the thing with even talking about your brother. I mean, with his journey of trying all different things and still getting the same results, at what point do people and do we as their friends and family say, I just love you for who you are?
Oh, it should be immediately.
Yeah. Well,
I think.
I hope so, but do we actually know how to do that?
Most of us don't. I will tell you, I've had this. So you've seen my ice vest.
Yes, I have.
Yet another tool in my tool bag on my constant fight against obesity. I have an ice vest that I bought when I started working out again, because I read about it that it can, like, you know, that little extra boost for your metabolism. You ice down your body. So I'll wear it sometimes at home. And then recently, Amelie, my 7-year-old, made her own ice vest.
Oh, man.
She took a little bag, like a shopping bag, and put an ice pack in it and strings the shopping bag around her neck.
Whoa.
And I was like, she's like, I got a fat belly. And I was like, no, you do not.
Oh, man. What'd you say?
I said, you do not. You have a beautiful body. It's perfect. You don't need to worry about that. And then the other day she put it on and we're like, you don't. And she's like, I'm just hot. I'm like,
oh, that's so full on.
So
oh, man. Gosh. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's rough.
That's intense. I think like that kind of stuff makes me be like, oh, geez, I don't know if I'm ready to have kids.
Yeah, what you pass on.
Oh, that mirror. It's like a mirror just being like, look at it. Look at what you do. Oh, that's full on. That is intense. Well, and like, you know, more is caught than taught. I guess
know.
They say.
Yeah.
So do you think you were saying your grandma had fat prejudice and your dad has it. So is there a way to break the generational pass down?
I hope so, for Amelie's sake. I'm really trying hard. I mean, last night, again, we made her say, I am beautiful. We want to hear you say it.
Did she say it?
Because at first she go, I'm beautiful. Like, not beautiful. Say it. I am beautiful. I'm beautiful. Come on. I'm beautiful. You are beautiful. And you're perfect as you are. You don't need to change a thing to be loved. Or, you know, like we're going to always hammer that in as much as possible. But it's hard in a society that screams the opposite at her with every magazine cover and every like on an Instagram page, who's getting liked, why it's getting like, everything points towards this is how you should look if you want to be valued in our society. And that's tough. That's tough as a dad to see your little girl starting to be affected by some of those games. And it's not bad yet. I haven't seen her like, she's not like, I hate my body. It's none of that, but just little hints of like.
But even the awareness is intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. For a 7-year-old to have the awareness of like, I'm going to wear an ice vest.
And we've always been, I think her having a sister like Lucy with Down syndrome and the people that we meet through that, like through the special needs community, and she'll meet people in wheelchairs and whatever. And we've always been like intentional about trying to teach her that bodies are beautiful, how they come. But you're right, more is caught than taught. And so she sees us saying that, but then she sees me icing myself to try to get rid of my fat belly. And but then we talked about it. Lisa was like, we got to get rid of that ice vest. I was like, but I'm doing it to try to be healthy. And to lose the fat is good for me.
Yeah.
So like, we're not going to eat healthy, not going to go to the gym, not going to try to stay fit because it can lead. So I don't think that's the answer either.
But if she is copying you, it's less about you telling her she's beautiful and more about her seeing you tell yourself that you're beautiful.
Yeah, it's true.
So she just needs to catch you looking at yourself.
I'll just keep saying it. I'm beautiful.
No, really. I mean, it's a weird psychology,
no, that's true.
I mean, like I think back on it and I can't ever remember looking at my mom getting ready and seeing her say like, "Oh, I really like I love my body," or "I'm beautiful," or anything. And like I think there's sort of a judgment of like, "Oh, what are you, vain?" But what about the chance to just love our bodies and be grateful for who we are and what we've got? And so if she's parroting what you do,
it's true. I have to, but I can't even just say it. I have to legitimately love my body. And I have to legitimately love my body when I'm out of shape. That's, which I hope that I will, I've been making life changes to try to not be out of shape anymore, but then I think in how all the little, what we laugh at, how we treat people. I mean, she's got fat family members. And I don't know, like when what we've laughed at, maybe we've laughed at the wrong things that have automatically put in, because she said comments since she was a little kid. Like one time she's like, about grandma's chubby neck or whatever. Like, oh, don't tell her. And then we laugh and should we not laugh?
Oh, that's so hard. I think that there's more awareness growing now and there's, body positivity movements and there is more of a push to get people who look different in front of us in terms of in the media. But can you think of in our growing up years or even now, can you think of really respected and loved either actors, actresses, musicians, people that we look at them and we're like, they're amazing, and by the way, they're also fat? Can you think of anyone?
It's rare.
I can think of a few, but not from. It's more recent. The people that I can think of, it's not like I can't think of anyone from like the 50s and 60s and 70s that were not a certain shape. But maybe I'm. I mean, once you got it, the comedy years, you could start having fatter people, and it still seems like the successful actors that are fat most of the time are comedic. Comedic for sure.
Which has been like, I think in This Is Us has been pretty amazing with having like this dramatic, there's nothing like comedic about it. And it shows the struggle of these people that are fat, hating themselves because of it, and really good acting and a really believable person. I think in some ways society's getting, or media in some ways has gotten better than it used to be. Because it seems like it used to be not on like thin white this age
Oh man.
You know, that's how you become a movie star. Or yeah, music. It's funny how weight interacts with music, because I feel like you could be a bigger black girl, for instance, than a bigger white girl. And it'd be like not the issue.
Yeah, I can see that.
And guys seems like they can get away with more, usually, with everything.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. Sometimes even in couples, there will be like, you know, the wife is working to stay young and beautiful and exercising and keeping her hair nice, and the guy is just like,
yeah. Maybe it's because for the black girl, the black is just the issue that everybody's
focusing on.
That everyone's focusing on. And then for the white girl, I mean, you know, like the biggest obstacle, but meaning the issue of
the hurdle that they have to
overcome.
They
have to jump, overcome the most. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems.
It's definitely really in the DNA of our culture. And
Which is weird because we're such a fat culture.
It is, right? I mean, even living in Australia, which is another white Western country, they do not have the same rate of obesity. They don't have, and so there has to be something there. There has to be a lot more, whether it's, I know we both did like 23andMe this past year, and I thought it was really interesting getting my results and seeing genetically you are more likely to be underweight. And I was like, what does that even mean? Like underweight. And also I don't think I'm underweight. So what's wrong with my genetics that it says that I have 34% body fat. So is it genetics? Is it, I think it's what's in our food, but that's just me.
Yeah, a lot of it is, and it's lifestyle. I mean, I remember we went to Europe. Lisa and I went to Europe for a month one time, and we were eating like shit. I mean, we were like eating like shit, meaning at the end of the day, most days we'd get a baguette and a thing of Nutella and just like party it up. And I was still like losing weight.
Yeah.
Because I think the foods weren't as processed and shitty overall. And because the lifestyle was more walking around and you were just more mobile through the day. It wasn't, growing up in Wisconsin, it was like, you're not going to walk to the market and get some fresh vegetables.
No way.
And come back. Like,
it's
you're
car
You're going to drive through McDonald's on the way back home because it's freezing and you don't want to even walk into the grocery store.
Yeah.
Or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like the simple thing is the cheap thing.
Yep. And it's
is
also
the shittiest food.
Money.
It is.
Yeah. And what you were saying before about like there are so many factors that play into it. You know, like in Wisconsin, there are really only like 4 months out of the year that it's nice and you can go outside and be active and work out outside or go to the beach or even be aware of your body shape. Cause it's almost like I would be like in a freaking sweater and winter coat for 6 months. Yeah. And then it would be summertime and I'd be like, oh, that's my body. I haven't even seen that in months. So it definitely doesn't, it doesn't bring awareness as much as like living in Los Angeles where it's sunny and warm every single day. And I'm constantly seeing my skin and other people's skin and lots of it because it's warm and obviously LA is very appearance focused anyway. But for me, I've chosen to have that be something that is like a positive for me where it's not something I've allowed me to get myself to get really insecure or really stressed out about my appearance. It's more just like, oh, how cool that there are so many workout classes I can try. And like my brother tries a different yoga studio for like their month intro where you can get like unlimited for like $20 and he just goes to like a different one every single month and he does yoga 5 days a week.
Wow.
And I think he just found one that he loves so much he's probably gonna actually pay the real dollars. But he's just been doing that and like LA's That's so easy to do here.
Can't do that in Marshfield, Wisconsin.
Hails no.
No.
Nope. I don't even think there was a yoga studio where I lived, like within
No, there definitely wasn't in my town.
a 20-minute drive.
No, there wouldn't have been for me either.
So access is like privilege, finances, those are all.
And then there's also just the culture of fatness, meaning like in Wisconsin, it was like everybody's kind of expected to be a certain, like if you really tried hard and you're trying to find yoga and you're really eating healthy, you'd be made fun of.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, even when my parents, as loving and beautiful as they are, and they want us to be healthy and stuff, but when we go back, especially when they lived in Tulsa, we'd go back to Tulsa and we'd be like, can we find a place with salads or something? And they just make fun of us. Like, oh, you got to get you some rabbit food.
That's so true. It's so true.
It's like,
so real.
Why don't you just want to eat the fried biscuits with everybody else? I was like, we had it every night, the fried biscuit. You know what I mean? It's like the culture itself kind of is fat.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this is what we eat. Into like, you want to be some skinny weird rabbit food eating Los Angeles person?
Yeah. Fit in. That's so interesting. So, but your family, most of your family lives in New York City now, right?
Yeah.
So have they changed at all, or are they the same?
I've been surprised at how unhealthy the food in New York is. Like living in Los Angeles and then going to New York, because it's such an active city. I was surprised, like when you go most menus, it's not like an LA typical menu in New York from what I've experienced. It's more like comfort food is a lot easier to get there. And everyone's walking so much, they're thinner there than most places in the country.
Yeah.
Because they're exercising all the time. They're walking around, they're active. But the food...
it's not like vegan, raw, healthy.
No,
anything.
Most of, I'm sure that's there.
Yeah,
but as a culture, like everywhere in LA, if you go to a place and there's not an option, a vegan, healthy, natural, whatever option, it won't do well in LA. But in New York, it didn't feel like that's the same culture. So they can. My parents have found a way to live a Netflix order in. Dine in their house sort of lifestyle in New York.
That's amazing. Wow. That's amazing. I love that. They're like, we're going to leave Wisconsin, but we're going to stick to Netflix and Postmates.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do they live in like city proper?
Yeah, they live in Manhattan.
Oh, snap. That is hysterical. Do they like the culture there?
Yeah, I don't think they'll stay there forever. But
are you gonna get them out here?
We've tried, but I kind of doubt it. I think they might move back to the Midwest somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's the Midwestern culture is definitely a strong culture, and one of the reasons that I wonder if I don't necessarily, because I think a lot of times. People will even make comments to me like, "Oh, look at all you're doing. Wow, that's a lot for a Wisconsin girl." Like someone even said that to me this past week, and I was like, "What?
Put that on me."
I know. Yeah, I'm like, you can do this too. Like you, that's such a weird thing to say. Like it brought up a lot for me that I wanted to just be like, "What? What a weird thing." And it was someone from Wisconsin too. So it was like you were saying before with like, if you're trying to eat healthy, or if you're trying to, like, they're like, what are you doing?
What, you're better than us?
Yeah. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I mean, yeah, I love my life. It's cool. I'm doing cool things, but I'm choosing to do the cool things. And I've also spent years building this. It's not like all of a sudden I was just like, you know what? Fuck Wisconsin, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Bye. And then I walked to LA and met a ton of famous people and succeeded at everything. That's not reality. And that's not, that's none of it. It is interesting though, to just think about how certain things are more cultural, and, the fact that we both grew up in Wisconsin, I think is interesting that we both carry this similar baggage.
Yeah. Wisconsin, I mean, I'm sure it's like that in other places as well. Probably a lot of rural or small towns where they'll like want to hold you in. But I certainly experienced some of that in Wisconsin. And some of my favorite people in the world are Wisconsin people that got out.
Yeah, like you. But also, there are like Midwestern people that get out, like you were saying, that get out.
They want to do something more than you can do in the, I mean.
Yeah, but they have so much the groundedness. Like there is more of a down to earth. Like the work ethic is definitely like hustle, balls to the walls.
Yeah.
We're not going to just be done because we're entitled to being done at 5 o'clock. It's like, no, if there's more work to do, I'm going to keep doing it. I totally agree.
Yeah. So I'm grateful for a lot of that Wisconsin imparted into my life.
For sure. I also did not want to marry a Midwesterner.
Neither of us did.
No.
Yeah. New Mexican girl for me, Australian for you.
Yeah. And yours is very thin.
Yeah. She's very thin.
Was that a thing that you were like, I don't want to marry a Wisconsin girl, and I don't want to marry anyone that isn't skinny?
I don't think it was conscious.
Oh.
But the accent was always a little rough for me. And I did try to not say Wisconsin. And I didn't want, but I don't know. I mean, I liked girls from Wisconsin. It's not like but it just nothing ever happened. I got married at 19 years old.
I'm like, you didn't really let there be a lot of opportunities. I waited until I was 19, couldn't find anyone, picked a different state.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just was like, in different country, go. But,
Well, Lisa's skinny.
She's skinny. I like it. I like that she's skinny.
And I'm sure that I would be very strongly surprised if my biases didn't have anything to do with liking that she was skinny.
That's awesome. I love it. Do you guys talk about that with parenting, or like, does she, as this is weird to ask you about someone else, but in her own being a mom, are there things that you guys talk about, like, okay, we're not going to say this, or when we have our kids running around the house, we want them to be around these sorts of conversations, or this kind of TV, or this kind? Is that something that you guys talk about?
Yeah, I think we share a lot of that. I mean, we both know what, like, we grew up in very strong religious households where shame was, in so much religion, shame is front and center for the motivation of anything. And so we've always tried to, we know that we don't want our daughters having that front and center for anything. If there's anything we can do about it, to not have the motivation for anything in their life to be shame, which, we can't bubble them in from the world. The world hands them plenty of shame as it is, but we are doing our best to not. So it's weird, like Lisa and Amelie took a bath last night together, and they decided together they want to do that forever. That wants to be part of their mama daughter take a bath together thing. It would be funny to see how long that lasts with Amelie, if into puberty and all that she's still cool with that. But Lisa's always been very free, being naked around the girls or whatever, and not. Lucy's in a real boobies phase right now, and she just thinks it's so funny. Oh, boobies! And Lisa's just like, yeah, boobies. You have boobies. Here they are. And not being taboo about anything or whatever. It's been weird for me because I'm like, I don't want to like fuck them up by just they're telling their counselor how their dad was always naked. But I also don't want like the taboo of a male naked body.
Absolutely.
So I've kind of just settled on, like, I don't show them my front side fully, but
like ever.
But I'm sure I know they've both seen it at some point, but I don't, like, I'll cover if I'm gonna change. Like, I just went on a trip with Amelie, and if I change into my swimming suit, I'll turn around.
Okay.
to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's those kind of like little things that I don't know what the right thing is. But we're all the major moves we're trying to make are always about no shame, no taboo. Anything we think we want her to be able to talk about, anything, express her thoughts about anything. But teach her, like, then what do you do with things like profanity, where culturally, if she just walks around in school going, fuck, it's like, that's not going to be beneficial for her. So we have to, like, these words are not appropriate for use in public for a kid, especially if you don't want to offend people. Like if you say these words, people will be offended and think that you're being crass and think that you're being, but then she'll hear our friends say those words and sometimes us say them. We've tried to not say them around her as much as possible, but we have friends that don't have kids, present company not excluded. But that's part of our world. Like we're never, it's not taboo in our world, but we also do, like, how much do we want her hearing the word over and over that she has to try to not say it when she's in a situation? It's weird. Being a parent, it's like this constant juggling act between different things.
Yeah.
Because we don't care. I don't care if I was creating culture, I'd be like, let kids say fuck. Who cares? It's just a word. Right. It's just sounds.
It's letters.
But that's not the culture. And you want your kid to succeed in culture. So you have to, like, play these little dances and games.
Right. Where it's like, I don't want you to have body shame. And if you want to be naked at home, that's fine. But also once you leave the door, you have to, that's hard. That would be hard. I don't know for myself if it's hard or not because I'm not a parent. But
yeah. And like you have these parts, they're just part of your body. They're no big deal, but nobody can ever touch those parts.
Yeah, that's hard. Because
like, tell us if anybody ever tries to touch. You know what I mean? It's such a weird.
So weird. It's fine, not fine.
But it's not fine. Yeah.
Right. I guess, there's a lot here. But what do we have? What's our responsibility? Like, is it just knowing that we have that tendency? Oh, I have a fat prejudice. Being aware of it and choosing to not have it impact decisions. Or do we have more of a responsibility? Like, can you heal a prejudice?
Yeah, I think you can. I don't know about completely. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I don't feel like I have. I've certainly changed my thinking and my innate gut feeling about other things in life, or that those things have changed in me. And even more, my gut feeling has changed about obese people now, even different than a year or two ago. And some of that has been the free will thoughts and like, and then, I meditate a lot and rest in the unity, the awareness of the unity of all of us and of everything and everyone a lot, in a way that makes it harder when I see a fat person to think of an other that has this problem that needs to be fixed. The first reaction when I'm in my heart is love and compassion and joy and the fun silliness of it. These fun chubby people and bony people walking around and do it, like, it's all silly and fun and magical. And so when I'm in a healthy headspace, I'm not, this is not an issue that's like dogging me down, but I can, the more I'm aware of my own prejudice, my own innate bias that I was handed from my culture and my circumstances, the easier. Yeah. I think when it comes to decisions, like, how am I going to talk about this with my daughter when it comes to, ever recognizing that prejudice manifesting itself in any way that actually turns into actions or words or jokes or and like that could demean somebody, or that could, seeing that prejudice is helpful in gauging your own actions and reactions and how you move through the world. I think that's, because people have bias towards, there's black people that take that test and have bias towards black people.
Wow. Yeah.
There are, they feel that they see the blackface and it's more dangerous to them. And whether that their experience or whatever early in their life and culture taught them that bias. And that's what our culture does teach, that darker skin is more dangerous or is more whatever, fill in the blank. That's what racism is. Like, racism exists not just in a vacuum. It was created and handed to all of us, and including the victims themselves. So how do we, when you notice that prejudice, then I think it's a great first step is to see it. And then you can allow that sight to start. I think the more clearly you see it, the less power it has.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And also, I think for me, the more I've gotten to know someone that is like the thing that I kind of avoid, whether it's even something like having gay friends, and instead of it being the other, like, oh, gay, I don't know any gay people, or is that okay? What are they like? Instead it becomes,
it's just,
yeah, that's my friend.
Yeah.
That's not my gay friend. That's my friend.
Yeah.
That's not my fat friend. That's my friend. And it humanizes them and makes them become a part of who I am and a part of how I see the world. And like you said, like the connection that we have with other people, that it's not other, it's my friend. It's not the thing I don't understand or the thing I have a bias towards. That I think it's not like I would ever say we should go out and make fat friends to make sure that we to make sure that
I got
we
plenty. But that's an interesting thing, because that makes me think about the fatness in Wisconsin and all that it was attached to. When you see something and it's not gay or not, I wonder how much of me, when I see fat and think of what fatness has been in my life, primarily through being a Wisconsin person that had Wisconsin culture trying to box me into something and hold me back into something. If that's part of the, like, no, that's bad, I got to get away from that.
Yeah. The association of what it's
the association of my actual experiences with real people and the culture of being fat in Wisconsin. That is the culture. Interesting. Like, what am I actually pushing back? Or what is the bias actually against?
Do you know?
I see. It's going to be a weird answer.
I like weird answers. Give it.
The actual aversion is my ego seeing that it's not a real thing.
Yep. That's weird.
I told you.
I love it.
It's my ego needing to find value in itself as a separate entity in the world that is special and talented and beautiful and loved, so that it can validate its own existence and not just be a wave in the ocean of circumstance and physics and chemistry, but a real solid me that can stand on its own 2 feet and not have to be afraid. And so it's the ego game of, like, no, I'm not going to be that. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be better than that. I'm going to stand out above that and I'll be more beloved and more special if I'm not like these other things in my life. That's down, way down.
That's a good one. It was worth the wait. Just like waiting till you're 19.
Oh, yeah. When you wait till you're 19, then that first time. It's
Real
a good one. It's a good time. Doesn't last long.
That's a good one. I like that. Thanks. Stick around for part 2 of this discussion to hear a Q&A with Vish about his social media practices. This episode of Out of Line was produced by me, Caroline. All sound editing, engineering, and original music composition by Jaden Lee. And a big thank you to Cat Footwear for working with Out of Line this season. Hit subscribe to get the next episode on your mobile device when it drops next week. And if you love what you heard, please whip out a review, will ya?